I've always believed that you should never show what you're telling at the same time. I think that's I remember watching, there was that Brad Pitt movie about Jesse James. I don't remember what it's called. And there's a part in the narration where he says they sat around and played cards. And you see them playing cards. And I just remember being like, why would you put that in there? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. We don't need to hear and see that at the same time. Sorry, I just got really loud. That's a big problem for me with a lot of films, is that they really overtell everything, and they really dictate the way their audience is going to think and the way their audience is going to feel and the way they're going to see this particular moment. And I really like, what I love about filmmaking is that everyone brings their own thing to it. You know, it was strange, this film, when it played at Sundance, it played before this film about feminist art, and the audience reaction to this film was so different than when you show it to a bunch of astronomers, which is the other audience that had seen this film already. And it was, I don't know, I love that. I love just the varied ways that people approach a film that sort of is thick in context and has a lot of space for interpretation. So.
Sorry for insisting, but what was the thought process that went from, this is tedious, it's scientific, I should film some women sunbathing? Like, was it just the one step? Or?
It was one step. And so much of my process is really intuitive like that, where it's almost as if I have no memory of writing or editing or any of it. It really just sort of tumbles out of me, which makes me feel a bit like a fraud, because I don't feel like most of the films I make have anything to do with me. I'm just sort of channeling some other entity. It's like some tooth fairy muse comes in the middle of the night and it's like, this is what your next movie is going to be. And then I wake up and I have this full idea in my head. That was sort of the way Venus was. Is it just sitting there in that darkened office, leaning back in my chair being like, what the fuck am I going to do? And then it was just there in front of me.